What is up, YouTube? This is Rattlehead coming at you guys with a brand new video discussion. So, as you can tell by the music, I'm rocking some KOF 15, King of Fighters 15. So, I want to make this video because I wanted to kind of discuss what I've been going through lately with learning a new fighting game. Because this is one of those things that I haven't felt in a long time, and so I wanted to kind of talk about why I'm really investing a lot into this game right now, and just my overall thoughts of everything in the gaming scene, especially regarding accessibility. I think it's about time that I share my opinions on what accessibility means to me exactly, as well as discussing the state of it and things that I've just noticed just by observing. I tend to do that most of the time anyway, and you know, with the recent events of me sort of getting more relevancy, I guess, in the community, I wanted to sort of share my thoughts on that. But we'll go step by step. I first want to talk about just why I got into this game and like the mechanics of it, and obviously this is not a tutorial, this is just kind of showcasing like why I really like this game now, and just to explain like the feeling that I've been going through learning a new fighting game overall. That you know, I haven't had this excitement in a long time. So without further ado, let's get into that. So thank you for watching the video. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so, hit that notification bell, as I'm working slowly but surely to get better at this game, and I want to showcase some good gameplay. And we'll talk about that more in a bit, what that means for me specifically. So, alright, let's get into it.
Thoughts on game mechanics.
Alright, so I wanted to talk about real quick about the mechanics that make me feel like going back to those MK9 days again. So back with my local team, shoutouts to Combat Houston, they used to give me the tech, and I used to go home and just practice a lot of this stuff over and over, especially with Cyrex, a lot of his bomb setups, a lot of his BMBs that deal like 75% damage or plus. And it took me a long time to master all of those, and it was very proud moments for me to be able to learn that stuff at a high level. So once again, I just want to clarify that for me, I prefer my games to be more slightly more execution heavy. To me, that's what fun is. Like, I don't have fun just mashing buttons and just things happening for whatever reason. That's something that honestly I kind of got burned out in MK11, because a lot of characters are watered down. Like MKX was crazy heavy. Like, yeah, it was 50-50, but you had to actually be good to pull a lot of those 50-50, like the high level ones. And so it was you know, it was just something that I felt proud of doing. So it's not to say that, oh, I'm better or anything, because I'm not. Obviously, I play fighting games for fun, and I get wrecked once I start playing people at a high level. But it was still fun to be able to pull off some of the stuff, especially, you know, me being visually impaired and all that, because I just wanted to play it at the highest level possible. So this game, I found one of my favorite characters now in this game that it was kind of easy for me to get into, and it's Elizabeth. And this game is a 3 versus 3 game, so I'm also learning other characters on the side. But what I like about this game overall is that it's like Street Fighter essentially. You have a lot of half circle and quarter circle moves that you do with lights and heavies. So this game only has 4 attack buttons. Well, yeah, it does have more buttons, but it's just to make it things easier on you. But you have your lights and your heavies. That's it. You have lights and heavies, no mids. So you have like A or square is your light punch. C is actually, or your X is your light kick, and then you have B, which is or triangle, which is your heavy punch, and then you have D or circle, which is your what is it? Your low kick. Sorry. And then you have half circle moves, like you can do down forward A, or down forward B, or down back C, or down back D, or also I can do down back A and down back beat. So there you go. You know, and then you have, what I like about this game is that you have your special moves that deal more damage. You don't just do them like, oh, let me just do a fatal blow that takes like 30 plus damage just by placing 2 triggers. Now, on this game, you actually have to work for it. You have to do half circle back, half circle forward to get what's called a climax. That's what they call it here. You see, I didn't even get it right the first time. There we go. So that's the equivalent of a fatal blow. I was too far away, I didn't hit him, so. There we go. This is like your equivalent of fatal blow in this game. But of course, every character has what they call the supers. So like you have in this game you have EX moves as well. So they have, like, this character has a DP, forward down forward, heavy or light. But if I push forward down forward light plus heavy punch, it's the meter burn or the enhanced EX. They call it EX moves. But then you have your supers. Half circle forward, quarter circle back to get the super, and then you have the other super, which is down forward, or quarter half circle forward, and it's either light punch or heavy punch. So then you have to string all of that stuff together. You have level 1 and level 2 as well. So level 1 is just with either light punch or heavy punch. But with the level 2 is with two punches at the same time. So this is level 2. So yeah, but then you're able to combine all of those. So for example, I can do level 1 super into level 2 super. There we go. So this is what I like about this game. It's just a lot of the stuff that you have to do, and Elizabeth's one of the easiest characters to use, actually, I think. So I picked her up and I've been practicing like non-stop, and to the point where I can actually pull like some of her B&Bs and have fun and everything. So I'm also learning all the characters on the side. So with all of that, yeah, just basically it's that's what I like about this game. That it takes time to learn, and you can't just mash. So, and all of that, I can just now do some of her B&Bs now.
They're in the zone.
There we go. So it's just, but what I like about it is that all of this stuff that I'm learning now is because I took the time to actually sit down and, you know, lab and everything, and that's what made it more fun. Is to be able to actually lab for something and get the muscle memory and get good at doing all these different setups and everything. I do have some setups with her that I'm working on, that I'm learning, and of course, like I said, I'm learning other characters. A lot of this combos, the combo that you see right now, it's hard to pull off on matches, because one of the things about fighting games that a lot of people, when they first start learning, is that they want to do those like swaggy combos and everything, but it's like, nah, you gotta have good neutral, you gotta have good footsies. In this game, it's all about that. You know, you gotta have good defense to be able to kind of master that stuff. So this is why I really like this game. That brings me back that feeling of learning everything from scratch again. But again, not to bash on anybody who likes other fighting games that are much easier to pick up, because yeah, you want a fighting game that is gonna make you have fun in the end. You know, my definition of fun is being able to do high level stuff like that, because I feel like I always have to prove myself, because I have a disability. So this kind of gives me the chance to do that.
Thoughts on sound design?
All right, let's talk about sound design. So before we begin, I want to address the elephant in the room, and that is, if we're gonna talk about sound design, how can we talk about it if we don't even have the main thing that allows us to navigate the games without any sighted assistance, right? So this game, unfortunately, does not have a screen reader or access to the screen reader that the PS5 already has implemented as well. So real quick, the PS5 had accessibility features, and one of them was a screen reader. So it allows me to read everything that's on screen without having to, to depend on somebody to tell me what text appears. if I want to go to my control center, for example.
Controls. Notifications. Game base. 4 of 13. Voice. 5 of 13. Broadcast.
Right?
6 of 13. Voice. Game base.
I'm able to access my console without having to ask for assistance. Whoa.
Accessible.
King of Fighters
15.
doesn't have that. If I go to the pause menu, right, there's nothing. So it's just the sound of the game. But normally it will tell me if I'm like on player 1, or if I go up, I know it's to pick, go back to main menu, or if I go up again, it's to like pick up a new character, whatever, right? I might be wrong, but on what shows on the screen, but that's what it'll tell me, right? It'll read it to me, but this game does not have that, unfortunately. Having said that, though, once you memorize the menus and know where things are, like how a lot of us used to do that back in the day, then you start appreciating how well this game was designed as far as sound is concerned. So obviously this game has walking back and forth, dashing. This game actually does rely on running. You have different types of jumping, like your short hops, your regular jumps, your super jumps, and things like that. And that's just covering mobility, right? So this game has great design on that. So if we go back now, of course I got the music on because I actually like the music in this game. There's so much variety. Right now we're jamming to this nice little jazzy tune that we got going on. But anyway, so this game, right? So if I move around with my character, so first things first is walking, right? So if I'm gonna, right now I'm standing on the left side of the screen, but if I'm gonna be walking backwards, you can actually hear the footsteps, even despite of the level of the music volume that I have it on. You know, you can still hear it. Yeah, the music is kind of loud, but... Here we go. Now I'm gonna walk forward. You can hear it, you know? And then you can also hear when I'm backdashing. So it's well distinct. Like it's not like Mortal Kombat back in the old, like an MK9 and MKX, that each character had like a grunt to go with the backdashing or forward dashing, whatever. So now in this game, of course, if you do the same input for dashing forward, you're actually gonna be running forward. So you can actually hear the steps when they run forward. It actually gets really loud. So that's really awesome that you can actually hear them whether they're backdashing, just walking, or running, right? Because in this game, that's very important to be able to play the spacing game, your footsie game, and all that too. So, and even projectiles, right? So this character's projectiles are kind of unique, but you can tell if I put a projectile like that is close to me. Like I hear that whoosh sound, kind of close to the character's voice. But if I do the far one, it sounds a little further out. The whoosh sound is a little further, slightly like to the right of her. And that's the close one. So you can tell that. It's really, really, really great to be able to kind of distinguish that. And then another thing too is like with jumps. Now in MK like characters had grunts when they jump. These characters don't, but you can still hear like a whoosh that lets you know that they jumped. So now this game has different types of jumping. So of course you have your short hops. So the whoosh is like slightly faster, and of course they drop faster to the ground because it's just hopping. Right? But then you have super jumps. So this is a regular jump, right? Right? It's a regular jump. Then you get the little whoosh, and you can hear them fall down into the ground like longer. But then you have a super jump that basically makes the character, I think it's a bigger distance, if I'm not mistaken. That visually I don't know what it's supposed to do, but you can tell when they just do a regular jump versus a super jump. Oops. There we go. So the whoosh gets way louder when it's a super jump. So that's really neat. Like I feel like a lot of times it's just this little details, right? You don't have to give me sounds that are constantly beeping or whatever to let me know. Like if you can somehow attach a sound to like the movement, that's what helps a lot. So another thing in this game is rolling, right? So you have rolling. In MK, it costs bar, and you had this like, this is like, you can hear when you use your meter button sound. But in this game, you basically hold either left or right, and you press your square and X, or A and C. And what I like about this game is that when you dash forward, each character has like a different quote that they say going forward versus going backwards when they're rolling. So if I'm rolling forward, this character in particular will say this. But get this, I'm standing now next, probably it's like nearby, or if not, like really close to the character. But if I roll, I'm gonna be rolling across the character, and it's gonna potentially put me back to the side of the screen, to the right of the screen of the character. And because now at that point I'm gonna be rolling backwards. Well, actually, you know what? Let me just roll backwards from here. See, it's different rolling backwards than rolling forward. So the details, man, the details, like just the sound, right? And this character doesn't have like a regular projectile, so I'm not able to kind of show how the projectile sound travel across the screen as well. It's kind of like if you're standing by, like, and you're listening to traffic, listen how a vehicle, like the siren, right? A siren passes by. Like, it sounds like it's coming from your left, but it gradually passes you by. And then when it passes you by, it goes like in the middle, and then it goes to the right, and it keeps going, right? So they managed to do that with projectiles. Now, another important thing about this game, sound-wise, is this. Let's say we're both in the corner, right? I'm gonna be pushing this, running us to the character to the right. Okay, so now we're to the right of the screen, right? What's cool about that, all of our sounds, whether the character getting hit or the character doing the damage, all of that sound that's happening is pushed to the corner as well, sound-wise. So if you're wearing a set of headphones, you will now be able to hear the sounds like from slightly to the right, whether I'm doing a combo, like, right? Oops, that was dumb. But basically, yeah, it's that, right? Like, all of the sounds are now pushed to the right. And same thing if I move to the left. The sound, like, lets me know that me and my opponent are in the corner. I keep dropping the corner. I'm not trying to do a combo, I'm just showing the sound. So yeah, like, it's cool, because now that we're on the right, I can hear that. I'm doing the super, and the super, all of that sound is slightly to the right. So that's really helps that this game allows the sound to travel gradually, not just go from left to middle to right. No, like, it actually travels as you fight during the matches. So there's obviously more. There's even sounds, like, you can tell when someone's like the blocking. You can tell when someone's pushing, like, punches. That's what happens when you mash. It just does things automatically for you, and I don't like that. But then you also like, you can tell when it's like punches versus kicks. See? You can tell the punches are kind of like louder and like heavier, and the kicks are you know, lighter. So, and then of course you can tell between your lights and your heavies. Right? So the little details like that, it's amazing, and you can even tell that on block as well. So that's basically, in a nutshell, why I like this game's sound design. It's well done. The sound that travels across the screen is amazing, and it's been fun playing this game, you know, learning and everything, and just kind of appreciating how the sound designers made it where everything is according to what's on the screen. So kudos to those guys for that. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and transition, and now let's talk about the overall accessibility thoughts that I have in the overall gaming community.
Accessibility views on the gaming community.
Alright, so I think it's finally time for me to actually give my thoughts on the state of accessibility overall in the gaming community. So recently, of course, I've been more involved in projects that advocate for accessibility and all that, and which again, I don't consider myself an advocate or anything like that. I just do what I do, and hopefully it makes a change. And if people want to categorize it, that's up to them. It's kind of like how with my band we wrote an album, and we didn't even consider ourselves like a certain category, but everybody called us a thrash metal band because of the style that we play. So that's really up to people to decide, not me. And I want to thank everybody who's been very supportive of me being part of that the accessibility movement, because it's something huge that's been taken. It's been taking a lot of a lot of work and everything from everybody doing their part to put us out there. Blind players, deaf or hard of hearing players, players with other physical disabilities and things of that nature. So yeah, it's been great being part of that, and then of course us, me with my Central Showdown team and all that. But again, this is just my thoughts. This has nothing to do with the team or anything. This is just me. So just from observation, the overall accessibility movement is doing great, right? But there's also the fact that because everybody's so diverse, it's almost impossible to find that sweet spot where you can say, oh, these are universal things that you can do. And of course, as far as the definition of accessibility, it basically implies that whatever features you do or anything that you do that whether it's a service or anything, or like in this case games, right, that has to be universally equal to everyone. And that's a great goal to have. But what happens again, because of the diversity, right, something that means accessible to somebody may be something different to me, right? For example, like for me, when it comes to fighting games, I want my fighting games to still have a depth of challenge. Like, I don't want a fighting game to just push buttons and call it that accessible. That's not my style of play. Like, I want to be able to take something, break it down, and then showcase it. And it just so happens that I'm visually impaired. Like, I don't want my blindness to be the center of attention. I want my gameplay to be the center of attention when it comes to like these things, right? So, but just give me the tools. So to me, accessibility means this. Just give me the tools that I need, such as a screen reader, right? That I'm able to, because right now if I'm browsing the game, right, there's nothing. It's just, we're back to square one. Memorizing the screen, memorizing where the characters are located, memorizing the training menu, right? All of that. But, and now with the PS5, it has a screen reader and all that, and so a lot of games are coming out nowadays have screen readers, but they don't do anything on the gameplay side. So I feel like fighting games are kind of like the opposite. The gameplay is there for the most part, right? It's there. Like this game, like I mentioned, I covered a while ago, the sound design is incredible. I think it's great. But obviously we don't have access to the menus and all that, so that kind of sets us back again, right? But for me, again, accessibility, it just just give me certain tools that I can use, so that way I could just access the same information like everybody else. And then, but I don't need for you to tone it down for me, And now that I look at MK11, it's really like that. Like it's really meant for a casual player to just pick it up and do Scorpion Spear into an uppercut, like very basic stuff, And again, like I said, this is not to bash on anybody, like, because it's you want to have stuff for everybody too, right? This is just like me as a long-time fighting game player now, since 2000 and like MK9 2011 12ish. I don't want my games to be easy. And then there's the argument too, right? What like easy mode and all that stuff. That's a whole nother topic in itself. But I think The Last of Us really kind of nailed that, where they gave options for everybody, right? Like, you can literally make the game just carry you, like put all accessibility features possible, and all you gotta do now is just like, walk forward, reset your position, push buttons here and there, whatever. So, and that's fine. People want to play like that. That's on them. Like, not everybody wants to sit down and grind a game because maybe they come back from work, or they just want to have, that's their definition of fun, right? But for me, I want my fighting games to give me something to work for, you know, to give me that satisfaction that, like, oh man, I spent time getting to all the way to this point, and now this is where we are now, and I can stand toe to toe with, like, you know, beyond just fellow blind players, like play against like sighted players or top players and all that, which that's something that I was strive for. So that's where I feel like, you know, for me, like, when it comes to my thoughts on accessibility, like I said, it's just that a lot of times, there's still that kind of like disconnect between a lot of devs, or maybe not necessarily the developers, because we really can't blame the developers. I know, I could probably imagine that a lot of them want to make, you know, try to understand what players like us want, right? But because they have other things to go through, like, you know, people above them in the major companies, so it does make it challenging, you know. So it's really one of those tough situations, but all we can do is like, from where I see it, is just remain active in, you know, as much as possible in the community, right? And also, if you go into like get contacted by these companies, do your research too, you know. Do your research, find out what the community wants, not what you want, you know. I feel like once you start getting into these things where you get hired in these companies, go back and like also find out what the rest of the community wants, because whatever something that you're asking to be put in a game, maybe that's something that I don't need or I don't want, you know. So don't let people speak for you. Like, you have to let even me, right? Like, I want to know what the community wants in a fighting game, like, and sort of try to, if we ever get the opportunity to work, which one day I hope to do something with NRS more directly to explain what accessible features we would like in the game. What I would do is I would pick, you know, I would like find out what the community is like, you know, the majority wants, and go from there, instead of something that I want, because I could probably tell them, hey, listen, don't give me those easy inputs anymore. And imagine if I tell them that, and then the rest of the community like maybe doesn't want that anymore, so it's gonna be like a turnaround. So definitely, in our part, I feel like in our part, we gotta do research too. Like, I can't just go into a studio and just go for what I want, because what I want doesn't necessarily mean what the other person wants. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to diversity and the accessibility movement. There's just so many different types of you know, wish lists that everybody has for accessibility, right? There's not that one universal list, but I think just continue us working together, we can definitely make a difference, continue to make a difference, which again, a lot of other prominent accessibility advocates are doing probably more than I am. I mean, like I said, I just stuck with fighting games and that was it. So that's how I see it. So let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna go ahead and conclude, but just thank you for listening. And you know, like that's how I hope like things can go in the future. And let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Conclusion.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you for listening to my thoughts about just this game, KOF 15, and I went on just on the discussion of like what accessibility means to me. And maybe like when I think about it, right, I think I'm still also trying to figure it out myself, so I'm not an expert by any means, but it's just so that, you know, recently I've been involved in a lot of accessibility efforts that, you know, that people reached out to me, and I was, you know, people were referring me to get my thoughts on the matter. So I feel like it was my time for me to actually make a video about it and actually discuss it, and, you know, just put my thoughts out there. But again, by any means, I am no expert or anything like that. All I do is play games and try to be active out there, so that way like more and more people realize that a lot of us are out there doing what we can to you know, continue to play games and have fun, because for some of us, a lot of, like, gaming is very important, right? So it's gotten to the point where, like, I guess I have to put my thoughts out there in this case, right? Even if not many people watch it, but at least it's out there, you know, for people to come across maybe down the line. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. This has been Rattlehead. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. With that said, signing out. This is Rattlehead again with you guys. Peace out. Have a good one.